Okay, great. So thank you all for coming. It's a real pleasure to see so many of you here sitting and anticipating for this talk of mine. It's my first time speaking here at such a huge hall, so I'm kind of a little bit nervous, but I hope that you'll give me some strength to do this all without any complications. Great. So as you can see, as the name suggests, I'll be speaking about virtual reality latest technologies, meaning that I'll cover the mainstream stuff that we currently have so far, just to brief you in, to tell you about it if you haven't heard of virtual reality at all, which I would be kind of surprised if you haven't. And I'll also share some of the more interesting stuff that's probably going to shape what we imagine in the virtual reality, what's it going to be when it's fully developed. Great. So I'll start with an introduction. I've been introduced as the best speaker, but I also have some other tricks up my sleeve. I'm a third-year student, a junior at Vilnius Gediminas Technical University. I'm doing a bachelor degree in computer science. And I've also been greatly interested in the subject of VR for a year. I bought myself a VR headset, and I'm just developing stuff, trying to get some freelance projects, and hopefully I'll get way more into this. So before we begin, I still have one more thing to tell you. I will talk about this measurement unit, which is called degrees of freedom. It is now like the most popular measurement unit to say if the VR is good or not, or so just it's like a popular measurement unit. So first of all, the degrees of freedom are this. First, you have rotational degrees of freedom, meaning that if you have your virtual headset, you can move your head in 3 directions. So like this, and like this. It's like pitch, yaw, and roll. I'm not really sure which one is which, but those 3 rotations. I'm sure you're really familiar with this technology. Headsets are using a gyroscope, which are also used in your telephones to use your location in your maps. So when you see this little pointer thingy where you're currently facing, this is because of the gyroscope. So in the VR, you have 3 degrees of freedom, and not like two positions like in telephone. But those are only 3 of the 6 I'm going to talk about. The second ones are the positional, translational degrees of freedom, meaning that using accelerometer in your headset, you can crouch, you can jump, you can move in any direction, left, right, and it's going to get noticed by virtual reality. So if you have both of those, you have like the standard 6 degrees of freedom meaning that you are well equipped to have an immersive experience in virtual reality. Great, so now that we have this out of the way, let's start with the mainstream VR. So just quickly, for those who don't know, I'll just tell you what's the simplest stuff out there. First of all, you have Gear VR. So this is the technology that people mostly use the first time they use virtual reality, and after that, like a lot of them say that it gives you nausea, it makes your head hurt. So it's because this is not really a headset of itself. It's just like more of a strap-on that you put your telephone in, and you open an application in your telephone, and you have the split screen, which has two screens for each of your eye, and then you only have 3 degrees of freedom, meaning that you cannot walk around the space in your virtual reality. You can only turn around and see the view. And it's also really choppy because the telephone does not produce as good resolution and as good frame rate as the other headsets. So this one is mostly used in those conferences, to make your conference booth a bit more appealing, to get the people to line up, queue, and just experience some 360 experiences. And also, this is, in my opinion, the best mainstream VR currently, which I currently own. It's called HTC Vive. So this one has 6 degrees of freedom, meaning that you have this headset that you plug into your computer. It's a huge wire, it's a clumsy wire, but it still gives you a good frame rate. It gives you a smooth transition when you move, when you rotate. You also have 2 controllers, wireless controllers that are used as wands. So you have some triggers, you have some buttons, so you can feel more immersed. You can pick something up, you can throw stuff, and you can also teleport, move, and whatever. And you also can see those are 2 sensor boxes. Those are used to put into the corners of your room so that you can calculate the room scale VR. Meaning that if you put those sensors up, you can walk around your room and you will feel like you're walking in your virtual reality. You're actually going to walk in your virtual reality. And that gives you an amazing sense of immersion. This is actually what hooked me up. And when I use this, I realized that the VR is going places. This is really immersive experience. If you haven't tried it yet, I hope that there's going to be some HTC Vive experiences here at GameOn this year. So if you haven't tried it, please do. It's amazing experience. Okay, and for the limitations that are currently now in in mainstream virtual reality, is that wiring. It's really uncomfortable having this wire going to your computer, because when you're playing some game, let's say some open world game where you have to walk around, you have to rotate, you have to pick something up, you're always aware of your wire. You're always aware that if you have to turn around, that you will need to step over your wire so that you don't get tangled and you don't fall, or you don't like pull anything out and break your computer or break your headset. So it's a really huge problem but it's understandable that we still have wires, because those are the baby steps, and we cannot have such good resolution, such good frame rate without having any of these wires. Also, the resolution itself, it gets really uncomfortable being in virtual reality for more than a few hours, because you can see the pixels, you can see if you're looking at objects that are like very close to you, you can see those, you can see the pixels, the screens are tiring your eyes. So the resolution really needs improvement. HTC and Oculus are saying that they still have loads of space for the resolution. They still have ways to go. They have the advancements are coming. It's still just for now. It's not that good. But in a few years span, they're hoping that the virtual reality is going to be way better resolution-wise. And the room scale is also a problem. As much as they praise it, that it's very immersive and stuff, it's still not the end game. We cannot have this room scale effect in the end game, since if you're walking around, you're always also aware that if you like reach your arm out, if you reach your arm out a lot, you can like poke a TV, or you can like scratch the controller when you put it against the wall. So you cannot be fully immersed when you know that there's stuff around you that you can break or you can stumble on. The weight is like. It's not really noticeable when you play for like 10 to 15 minutes. It's not really noticeable. But when you put it on to like VR modeling, I did some VR modeling, or if you play some big game that it takes like a few hours of your life, then you can start feeling the weight. The controller starts to tire your neck, your eyes, around the eyes, they're getting sweaty. So this needs some improvement too. And the last thing I want to show you is that. There's no stopping you from going to walls. If you have an experience that lets you go through walls, it kind of breaks. So this is Fallout port from PC to virtual reality, and so that you're in this cold pod that's like freezing your body, and you can actually escape out of it, which it's not too much of a big deal in this case, but still you feel like the immersion breaks, that you're breaking the game essentially. So now that I've covered the mainstream VR, let me start talking about the latest stuff. The stuff that's about to change our perception of virtual reality. So first of all, HTC Vive released HTC Vive Pro, which was kind of a bust. It cost a lot of money and only has some gradual advantages to the regular HTC Vive. But with it came this wireless adapter. So what it means is that you have this clumsy box that you clip on your headset, and it works as the name suggests, wireless adapter. So you can cut the cord. You don't need to have this cord hooked to your computer. You can have the wireless adapter, which of course you still need to have a battery that you need to clip on yourself, and you still have this little wire going from your adapter. But you no longer need to be aware of your wire. You can have fully 360 degrees of walking space without any consequences. Of course, this only lasts for a few hours, like 3 hours tops, but this is only the beginning. 5 years after the release of the first virtual reality that was only hooked to the PC, and you could also only rotate. Now you can move, now you can look around, no frame drops using this wireless adapter. And of course it costs $300, but for those who really hate the wire, this is a good option, and those who have a lot of money. Also, Valve Knuckle Controllers. If the GIF is not playing, could you play the GIF so people can see how this controller works? I'm not sure why it's not working. But as you can see, the controller is not the regular wand. It's not that you pick a controller up and you need to place it somewhere. This controller is a clip-on, meaning that if you put it on, you can strap the controller and your hands are free. I'm sorry. Am I doing this? Sorry. And your hands are free. So if you, with this controller, if you want to pick something up, you just, your hands are free. If you want to pick something up, you pick it like, let's say, a sword from a game. You pick a sword, and when your hand clenches, you can actually, you feel the plastic that you've clenched something. You feel like you've taken something. And also, the throwing is much better than with a regular wand, because with a wand, if you take something using a grab button and you throw it, you have to be aware not to throw the controller away with the stuff with the object that you want to throw. So with this one, you can take your hand, take an object, and when you throw it, you can release your hand and get a better experience of just playing around with your hands and picking objects and throwing them. And also, why is it called Knuckle Controller? Is because your knuckles are getting sensed. So that if you're in virtual reality, you can move your fingers, and in virtual reality, your virtual hand is going to move in a gimmicky way like this. It's not as good as your hand, but you can still see that your knuckles are being sensed, so that you have this gimmicky kind of experience of using your hands. And it's currently released only for the beta testers, for the developers who are interested in doing games using the Knuckle controllers. But it's going to be released publicly in like a year or something. And then Oculus Go. I'm really surprised that this has not caught on globally, that this is not a huge craze. Because this headset is actually the first one that is used, that is publicly released for public. You don't have to be a developer. This is just a nice thing to have. Only for $200, $250, you have a standalone headset. You don't need to plug it to your computer. You don't need to have a phone that you insert it. You just have a standalone headset that is driven by operating system of Android. So you just stick your headset on, you press the power button, and you're in your virtual space. You have this one controller, just like in Gear VR. So if you haven't seen this, you have this controller which you can swipe with, which you can scroll with. You also have a few buttons. And you can go to your internet, you can watch YouTube videos, and have this huge screen. You no longer need to buy a huge TV to watch something. You can have your YouTube on, watch any video. You just let me show you what a virtual space looks like. So you have like your store, library, browser, just like any regular computer would look like, just like your virtual computer. So it's like now we have computers, smartphones, and virtual reality headsets as a different medium. And as I said, when you watch YouTube, you can make the screen go full screen, so it's like a curved, huge screen that you can just lay down on your bed or something and watch videos. You can also scroll the comments. And one of the best experiences that I've tried with Oculus Go is the NBA highlights. So you no longer need to. You no longer have to watch this 3D representation in 2D screen. There's, when the NBA games are being recorded, there's 360 camera that's planted, and you can actually see it from this kind of view. So when you watch Curry shoot threes, you can actually see him as a muscular man, and LeBron James, when you see him going through and slashing through, you can actually see the experience. Like, when I'm watching NBA on TV, I think, this is nothing. Everyone can shoot like this. Everyone can run like this. But when you see those players really in movement, in action, it's a really different experience because you're actually looking at it in a 3D view, not in a 2D window and 3D representation. And last of all, this is not a headset, just like a bonus footage. This is called the Leap Motion. Leap Motion is a stick-on camera module on your headset, which lets you, which records your hands. They recognize your hand movement. It recognizes your hand movement, and it can replicate your hands in a virtual environment. Let me show you how that looks like. So please, can you start a video? It's just like an 8-second video of how it looks like in virtual reality. See? You can move your hands freely. You can pick something up, you can throw it up. Isn't that amazing? I'm sure it's just a short clips for those who are not interested in seeing this, but if you want, you can Google Leap Motion. There's lots of nice videos. And you can hook it on any headset. I think you can hook it on even on Oculus Go. So imagine, you don't need any sensors, you don't need anything. You just have your headset that you put on with your Leap Motion module, and you can interact with stuff using your hands. And of course, this has a few drawbacks. One of those is that if you throw your hands away from the camera, when the camera can no longer recognize your hands, then the hands are not being tracked at all. So it doesn't matter for single-player experiences, because even now, my hands cannot exist and I will not notice that. But for the multiplayer, if there's a multiplayer game or something, then you can see when a person's hands are drifting away slowly because they're not being tracked when the person is not when they don't have the hands in their camera's view. So, but this is an exceptional kind of technology. And now for the upcoming stuff. So this is the major piece of cake that I would like to show you. This is extraordinary stuff, which I think is really groundbreaking, and in a few years' time, this is going to change the way we see virtual reality. So, first of all, there's now this fight between HTC and Facebook's Oculus. They started off with Oculus Rift, as you've may seen, just like HTC Vive, and now they're going to standalone versions. So Oculus Quest is announced and is going to be released in 2019 spring. And HTC Vive is the same standalone headset, just that it only has one controller, which also has 6 degrees of freedom. So, I'm not sure why, but why Focus is only released now in China. It's not released globally, maybe because of the testing. Maybe China is like a test ground for the HTC Vive. I'm not sure, but. So essentially, these things are absolutely next gen. You have your headset, you have your wireless controllers. The headset is not plugged to any computer. It's completely wireless. And both of the headsets have inside-out tracking, meaning that they have cameras to track your world position, so that if you walk around your room and when the camera senses that the objects are getting bigger, that means that you're getting closer to them, meaning that you can move like this in virtual reality. And with this kind of tracking, the bounds are limitless. You can, if you want to play outside, you can just go in the park without any people inside it, and you can walk around anywhere you want, and you'll be walking the same in virtual reality. So, and of course, I also saw one nice video with HTC Vive Focus. They were advertising how good the tracking is of these things. So there was one guy who put on this headset and had his friend walk him through a crowded city just around the corners, making this huge circle around the city. And at first they tracked where they are in the game world, and then where will they be when they make this huge circle around the crowded space. So when they did that, when they walked around and came back to the same place, they actually were like only 5 meters difference in the game view. They were almost in the same place as they started. So the tracking ability is really amazing with these headsets. And hopefully they're going to be massively sold. I really hope so, because these are incredible. Now, you might think, why am I showing this woman to you? What does this have anything to do with virtual reality? So this is actually the first public screenshot from Vive OVR. And they claim that this is the view that you have in your virtual reality. This resembles human eye resolution. It's not as good. It's not definitely 100% human eye resolution, but it's really close to that. Meaning that the difference, you cannot really see the difference. You have to be like really attentive. I haven't used it myself, but I have a friend who's a pioneer of virtual reality. He's going to every conference, trying out all the stuff. And I asked him, have you tried using this Vive OVR? Is it really as good as the picture shows? And he said that he cannot really tell me about any details because he's under this contract of not speaking about this stuff. But he told me that the technology is here, meaning that actually the view is like this, but they have some other technical difficulties that they need to solve. And I looked over to the internet, I researched what the difficulties are, maybe they're publicly released, and I found that the field of view is actually a bit smaller than the regular devices, meaning that when you're in virtual reality, you can see those black circles of the plastic. So you cannot see the full view, but the view that you see is actually human eye resolution. And how this is done is just incredible. Instead of one set of screens for both eyes that gives you low resolution, like regular resolution pictures, they also have another screen which has really dense kind of pixels. And they track where your eye is, where your eye pupil is. And right there, where your eye is, then they concentrate the huge amount of pixels to that area. So that essentially this works just like your human eye. When we look at one object, this needs to be like really condensed. It has to be like really good and lots of pixels view, and you basically focus on the thing. And all the rest of the things that are not in your focus are getting this regular resolution of your current mainstream VRs. So this is a nice mimic. I would really love to try this one day, maybe when it gets publicly released. It now costs like $5,000, and it's not going to be for public. This is going to be for conferences. But this is gonna 5 years into the release of the VR, and you have this view. Isn't that incredible? And now for the Senselove. This looks a bit quirky. And I think you should figure out why this controller has the bones attached to your fingers. So if you haven't caught it yet, it's so that you could interact with stuff in your virtual reality. And when you touch something, let's say when you touch this, whatever it's called, I'm not sure. When you touch this thing, your hand can sense that you've touched something. Or when you try to grab something, if you grab this thing, the bones are going to lock and will not let you move your hand any further. So this creates an illusion that you've actually physically interacted with objects. You can grab anything. You can grab like microphone. You can grab anything, and this can be simulated with the bones locking in and not letting you move. So let me show you again one more video of this, how this works in real life, please. Video. Isn't that incredible? Yeah, and also it has this squishy materials. It will let you, if the material is squishy, it can let you move a little bit. It can let you squish the stuff, see? It's not completely locking in. So you have this kind of different varieties. Okay, thank you. You can stop now, or I will just go to the next slide. Okay, so if you thought Senselove was amazing, wait for this thing. So haptics is, of course, Senselove is still has a lot of wiring. The pre-order costs like $1,500, and this is the same thing as a Senselove, just on a whole nother scale. So as you can see, these straps are used for stopping your hand from moving. And this creates basically the same kind of experience, just that it's a bit more smoother, since those are not the bones, but they have the full glove with the straps. But not only that, the hand also has lots of bubbles that can be inflated and deflated, so that when you, for example, put your hand on some cloud that's dripping rain, when you put your hand there, the bubbles, when they sense the movement on the part of your hand, the bubbles are going to inflate, creating illusion that the hand is being rained on. Also, when something walks around your hand, like a spider or something, you actually feel the movement of every little movement of the thing. And also, it also has heat temperature sensors, so that if you see like a fireplace, you can put your hands and heat your arms a little bit. So, just a little bit of expression from one guy who's... Listen to this.
I was so excited. Oh my god! And you should be able to even feel like the individual tips of the stars.
Oh, so whatever.
Feel some of those raindrops, dude.
Oh. Oh! Oh, snap!
Yeah, this is real.
Look at that!
Look at that. Would you look at that? So, imagine if you have a headset with those controllers. You could like shake hands of other people multiplayer. You can do mostly anything. It's not of course it's not a full body tracking, but the hands, even though they're still full of wiring, as you saw in this video, there's still a huge improvement. And you can see that this is going to get, even with less wires, it's going to be wireless at some time. So you can really look forward. Imagine having this human eye resolution with this kind of controllers. Okay, but I think still, after all this, after all this, you may still think this is still just a toy, right? And it is actually still just a toy for now. But just like the toy was as a standard computer that we currently have, we use it for work, we use it for gaming, we use it for all the different kinds of things. At first, it costed a lot of money. They were not so affordable. And what they could do, they could like let you create a Word document, maybe some text. It could let you watch some stuff. It could let you use a calculator. So you could use it for something, for your entertainment, but not for a lot more. So what if those things that we have, all the high-tech thing, maybe those are going to turn from the computers. Maybe we're going to change maybe we can make the computers redundant with virtual reality. And even like the laptops can be the standalone versions. They're not going to be as good in resolution, not as good in quality, will not be able to do as big games, as big resolution games. But those can be changed from the computers. We can switch to virtual reality. I'm not going to talk about the social aspects of this, like, oh, we're human and we're going to live in digital worlds. If you want to talk with me about that, I would gladly talk to you about it after the talk. But I will not focus on that right now. Sorry. So, and now just for the finish, I would like to ask a question. What would it take for us to change from the computers, to make the computers redundant? What would you need to make this a no-brainer? Like, oh, of course I will get virtual reality. Everyone has it. I'll get one, and I'll be using that instead of a computer. What would you need for that to achieve that? First of all, of course, human eye resolution, which we can currently see glimpses of in Vive OVR. With that, if we have only human eye resolution, we can make the texting kind of redundant, the meetings, we can change it all to, for example, you have a business meeting that you have to attend in a different country or different kind of continent. You could just have an official meeting, not with those quirky little characters that have this body and cute little arms. This is not a good environment for meetings, and it's still being used as a toy. But when you can do all this stuff with human eye resolution, with great kind of graphics, with making a human your like possible employer look like a real human, and you have this real interaction. Maybe this could let us use that instead of using Skype. So, next of all, quick input. We cannot change to virtual reality when the keyboard is more efficient in doing stuff than in your computer. So that when you're programming, you cannot really program, you cannot really work in virtual reality. What may be the solutions? Of course, you can use the voice inputs because you don't have this virtual keyboard you cannot press and you still have ones, right? So you can have voice input, but then again, when you're coding, how are you going to make the voice simple? Like open brackets, something equals, closing bracket. And it's kind of quirky. So maybe there's got to be some system that's completely made to recognize your voice and turn it into code. Maybe something like that. And also, maybe when you have those haptics gloves, as I showed you, maybe we can just simulate the keyboard and let us feel what we write, so that we don't have to invent anything new. We just have to turn our virtual reality, make the same kind of computers, the same kind of keyboard to interact with stuff. And with this, you can change your workplace from being to office. Maybe you can still be in office, but you have your own virtual room that you feel comfortable in. You can just customize it however you want. You can write stuff, you can write documents, you can do all the kind of stuff, you can attend meetings. Even when you're getting called to work in a different country and you have your wife or kids, let's say you don't want to leave or you don't want to get them to go with you, you can just work from your home using the virtual reality headset if those can be the conditions, if the employer allows those kind of conditions, so that when they want, they can just go to your room, just follow where you are, go into your room like in the virtual character, and hey, tell me what's up, what have you done? And the third of all, physical immersion. So you saw the glimpses of it using the Senselove and the haptics, but you still need something more. You need the full costume, you need the full body tracking. But when we have that, of course, this is still just, this is not a real thing, and it's not going to be for a while, because how are you going to how are you going to make it so that you can walk and can no longer walk through walls? How are you going to do that? Maybe some, if you have seen Westworld, maybe some advanced kind of 3D printing that's really real-time 3D printing or something like that. Of course, this is just science fiction for now. But if we get this physical immersion, then we can change our experiences of gaming from watching people be good at their reflexes, be good at like moving their character, to make them actual superstars. You can. There's now this Onward multiplayer game where you have this first-person shooter that you walk around. You can like signal you can signal your opponents or you can signal your teammates to like go here or stop something. So you don't need to use the voice commands and you don't need to chat. So this is the crappiest implementation. This really has to get a bit better, but you can now experience this. This is amazing. And so think of all, if the players have played, go to this tournament, they get fully tracked equipment, they get like their virtual weapon, they get their virtual tracking. So you can, when you watch people, you can watch those people in virtual reality and see them as the huge superstars, the gaming superstars. They're not going to be some. I'm not sure if that's inappropriate to say, but those are like the nerds with their computers, with those audio strap-ons, trying to look like they're just like some superstars in gaming. With VR, they could actually be still nerds, the gamers, but they will be really amazing to watch. They will be like superhumans. And the first-person shooters are just like one of the examples. You could do some like superpowers, magicals, or whatever. So I think that covers for my talk. I'm really thankful that you've stayed here and listened to my talk. It was a pleasure. So if anyone has any questions. Yes, please. Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Yeah.
We have a couple of minutes for Q&A, so if you have any questions for Thomas, just go ahead. We'll have a mic for you. Be it the social aspect or technical aspect of virtual reality, give it a shot. Anybody?
Yeah, there's this one guy. I mean, the virtual reality, we can access it from anywhere right here. I think you can go to GameOn and access it. It's just not as good as it can be later. So I was just hyping you up for what will come later, so that you can be hyped and watch some news and be interested in this. But you can use virtual reality at this point. It's readily available. You can walk around. You can rotate. If that was your question. Oh yeah. Oh, okay, sure. So I can only guess, but seeing that it took 5 years to get us from this headset that can choppily make you rotate and see environment, it only took us 5 years from that to get to these haptics gloves that can sense everything and human eye resolution. So it only took 5 years. I'm guessing maybe 5 more to get us to publicly get those wireless controllers. It's not going to take too long, but it's not going to be like 1 year process, unfortunately. Anything else? Anything more? Yeah.
Hey.
Hello.
You've spoken about the visual part and the physical part. What about sound? Is there any like sound development or hearing, that kind of thing?
Yeah. Actually, with Oculus Go, thank you for this question. With Oculus Go, I did not tell you about that. Oculus Go actually lets you have this audio. You can listen to audio without needing to put those audio head straps. With HTC, with Oculus, you can now have those clip-on audio like headphones. But with Oculus Go, this is a really nice feature that I really enjoyed, is that you don't need those headphones. The audio is getting streamed right to your ears from the headset, and it feels like you're listening through the headphones. You really should try it sometime, because it really feels like you're listening it from the headphones, but the sound is coming right from your headset. So there's no extra hardware, no extra stuff, and you can hear. Of course, all the people around you can hear what you're hearing, but you don't need the headphones to listen. But yeah, the standard right now is having those clip-on earpieces to roll down and to change your headphones. So this is the standard currently. Well, if there are no more questions, then thank you. It was really a pleasure.
Thank you, Thomas.
Thank you.